the Bench Guild podcast.
How many races you been to with a giraffe? That's
0,
probably,
but it's giving me good ideas now.
We're making jumps out of manure piles and stuff.
If you stay alone there at night, so the coyotes are gonna attack you.
I've always told everybody, if you can't fix it with a hammer, you have an electrical problem.
And now, your hosts, Alan Delman and Adam Swanson.
So welcome to the Benchracer Guild podcast. I'm Alan and I'm here with Adam.
Hey guys.
Yep, back with Adam as usual. I know you missed him on the last episode, but he's back from vacation, refreshed and ready to go. So I know you've heard us talk. If you listen to us, you hear us talk to a bunch of riders, a bunch of industry folks, people from clubs. We just kind of pull from what we think is going to be interesting, and we talk to them and do these long form interviews with them. And in this episode, we've talked to people who have ridden the pro circuit before, which is cool. You know, we heard some stories from guys that race pro, way back when or whatever. I think Bart Lucas was probably racing pro next to a dinosaur, and I know he wouldn't be offended by that.
Before my dad was born.
Yeah, exactly. 1943. But anyway, so this episode we're doing something new. We're actually talking to our first active pro rider, which we have not done yet. I know other podcasts have done that. We have not done that yet. He also happens to be racing the pro motocross circuit right now. And he's from Rochester. So if you know the sport in the region, you probably already know who I'm talking about. Well, it's one of two. So there's a 50% chance that you're right. And if I just keep talking and tell you who it is, you'll know. So, hey guys. So anyway, say hi to Trevor Schmidt. Hey, Trevor, welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
Yeah,
Trevor.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on tonight. I mean, you're definitely an icon in the sport here locally. Alan just mentioned that you're riding the pro circuit right now, doing some races. But before we roll into that, let's talk about how you got started riding and racing and who got you into the sport.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And right now I'm doing the pro circuit, which is Unadilla's coming up here next. But so I started riding when I was 3 years old, and my dad's raced forever when he was growing up. And once I could ride a bicycle without training wheels, he threw me on a PW50, and he tied a leash to the back of it, and
Wow.
pretty much some training wheels at first. He said, "Do it."
Yep. So you guys started pretty young, like 2 or 3 years old. Then would you say that's about right?
Yeah, 3 years old, and then that's when I pretty much started to learn how to ride, and then I started racing once I turned 4.
Wow. Okay. So I know that was a while ago and you were pretty little. So do you remember your first race and how it went?
I kind of remember my first race, but one of my early memories is I was in my backyard, and I don't know how or why, but I went right through the fence, and that was a memory for sure. But my first race was I think Area 51, and I think I got 4th.
Oh, wow.
Wow, nice. It's pretty good for a first race. What class was that?
It had to be probably PW 4 to 6, I'd say.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. That's what a lot of people start on PWs. So you started out on the Pee-wees, on PWs?
Yep.
Awesome. So your dad was also a racer, right? So it was kind of in the family?
Yeah, he raced. He was an expert for a long time too, and he I think he tried a couple pro races, but I don't think he made any, so I got him there.
It's true.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys, if you're from this area, you know Trevor's dad is he Don Schmidt? That's what he goes by. Donnie. I'm not sure. I don't know, but
Yep.
So okay, yeah. So that's who Trevor's dad is.
So does he give you support in the pits, or like who kind of does pit support for you?
Well, my dad, I've never really raced. I've raced a few, but every race my dad's usually with me, and he's there in the pits, and he's my mechanic, and pretty much everything bike wise and mental talking to me wise, it's all on him. Like he's all behind the scenes.
So like let's talk about Loretta's. You went to Loretta's how many times?
I've been to Loretta 10 times.
10
Holy crap.
times. Wow.
Wow.
So when was the first time you went?
2009 on a PW 50.
How did that go? Like your first trip out there? Give us a little background on it.
I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember my mom gave me a Kodak camera, and I was taking pictures of like just Adam Cianciarulo's camper and just like everything because I was amazed. But racing wise, I think I got a 9 and maybe 12th overall. I can't remember exactly, but.
Do you remember racing with anybody who's with any big names, either on that trip or any other trip? I'm just curious about how, because obviously you were there, you were there pretty young, and I didn't know if like you lined up alongside someone who's a big star now.
Definitely a lot of fast people, but growing up, I didn't really. A lot of the kids younger didn't really stick with it as much, but once like Super Minis and on up from there, that's when some of the like Carson Mumford and Time Master Pool, like those guys that are still doing it.
So you've been 10 times. That's freaking pretty incredible. I don't know. I don't think we know anybody who's been there 10 times.
I don't think we know. Yeah, once or twice is usually a big deal. 10 times is like, well, I guess we're going back to Tennessee this August again.
It's actually
Here
nice.
we go.
Yeah, it's nice this year. I didn't have to go, and it's kind of relaxing.
That's a good point. Because it's funny. I was listening to another podcast. Was some guys who qualified. It was Hicks Racing. The guys who did the episode with. I don't have to pretend I don't know who it is. And anyways, they talked to some guys who qualified for Loretta's, and just the process of qualifying is absolutely brutal. Like the amount of resources and money you have to put into it is crazy. So I mean, maybe not for you because you went 10 times, so you were probably like you had it down pat by that point probably. But it's still a lot to actually get there. So for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you race here locally, which I mean I've seen you race, nobody can touch you from what I've seen, which is a pretty phenomenal thing here locally. But when you race here locally, like what are some of your favorite tracks here locally to race?
Yeah, my favorite track's probably Palmyra Hogback Hill. Just
Nice.
Awesome.
I just like the track and the history behind the place, and usually a good turnout there. So
Are you showing up for King of the Hill?
that's Bud's Creek weekend, but I'm gonna try and drive home Saturday night and make it there for the Sunday race.
Oh wow.
Awesome. Yeah, because
That's
Bud's
long.
Creek would be on Saturday, right?
Yeah,
That's a heck of a
then
drive.
it's like 7 home and Hogback we go.
So I know that when we talked to Nikki Voorhees, and you guys are used to being on the road. It's just something you do. It's just you like to race and you like to ride, so you make sure you get there, right? That's just how it goes. So
Yep.
I don't know if you've been going to Loretta since you were a little kid. You're used to that life anyway. So
Yeah.
So when did you get your pro card?
I got my pro card. I went to Loretta's 2020, I'm pretty sure it was. And once you get top 20 at Loretta's, you get your pro points. But that's what it is currently. I had to go to a bunch of pro-ams and earn my 60 points. So I did 4 pro-ams and got my pro card. And then I did my first national it was actually at Loretta's during COVID, 2020. And I got 5th in the LCQ, and then I ended up getting into second moto. So that was my first national I ever did.
So right now you're traveling the circuit, and you've been to how many pro races already?
I've been to 7 so far this year. The only one I haven't done was Washougal, just because the flights were outrageously expensive and it was super far. So
yeah, it's one of those. I know. I think I heard Blaze, and I'm sure you know him because you guys might be traveling. I don't know, but he mentioned that it was kind of tough for privateers to do that I heard him on another podcast saying this. It's kind of tough for privateers to go from you start in California and then you kind of come east and then you got to go all the way back to Washington. When you're driving yourself there in a van, it's a little rough. It's hard to really get out there and do that. So,
yeah.
If you've
they don't make it easy on the privateers.
No, especially the way fuel is. I mean, we're actually talking
my-
to Trevor on his way home right now. He
Oh,
made
yeah.
time in his vehicle for us.
Yep.
So which race was your first pro race? Where was that at?
My first ever pro race,
Yeah.
Loretta Lynn's 2020. It was the schedule was all messed up because of COVID. So I was at Loretta's, came home for 2 days, and then we went right back. And there was that was the pro race right after Loretta's because Unadilla wasn't on the circuit that year.
Oh, right, because of New York State basically shutting down everything.
Oh.
I'll keep my opinions about that to myself, but anyway.
I'm sure we
you
all
have
share the same
ones.
ones.
Yes.
No, they
probably.
definitely shut down.
So how did that race go? That your first race out within the pro class?
Well, it was my first one, so I really didn't know. I mean, I knew what to do, but it was the fact of doing it. And then it downpoured for like 2 days straight, and it was super muddy. So I went out in qualifying, burned my clutch up the first one, went out in the second one, and track was not much faster. So I can't remember what I qualified, but I went to the LCQ, had a terrible gate, and then I came out like 20th. And then the last lap, I came up, well, during the moto, I came up to 5th. And then I just didn't have enough time to get the guy in front of me. So I missed my first one by 1 position, but I did get to race the second moto as the alternate to fill the gate.
Awesome. And then you went pro racing. Did you do that last year also?
Yeah, I've been doing it. I did 2020. I did a couple there. And then last year I did, I think, 5 of them. And then this year I'm doing all of them except for Washougal and the last California round.
Wow, that's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, it's 3,000 miles one way for one race. You
Yeah.
could see that could be a bit much. So
Do you take a camper out there, or are you like just trailering out, or like a van?
So I'm on the TPJ team, and they carry my bike from the first round until the last round. So when
Cool.
California, the last race comes around, I'd have to figure out how to get my bike back home without having to drive there. So
oh, I see. Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. No, gotcha.
You actually have a mechanic or something taking care of your bike.
well, my dad just flies to all of them or drives to them with me, and then
Oh, okay.
he's my mechanic. So we do all the bike work Friday before the race.
That's a heck of a
And
lot.
then,
You're doing wrenching and racing.
Yeah, right. And then we leave the bike on the rig, and then the next week comes around, and we another Friday we got to do the bike work. So
Yep. So they transport your bike for you, but that's the extent of it. There's no like it doesn't sound like you have a mechanic assigned you or anything like that. Although even that's huge though, because that means you can kind of get where you need to be, you know. So what bike are you on this season?
I'm on a KTM 450 2022.
Okay. And I think we have a lot of guys that listen, a lot of our audience that listens. They also ride, and we kind of always wonder, like, what kind of setup do you have for your bike? Like, do you have, obviously you have suspension probably, but do you have any kind of trick parts, anything like that I mean, anything you want to talk about? Obviously, if there's something you don't want to talk about, that's fine. But
Well, yeah, I don't have much on my bike besides this. The only thing really on my bike is A-kit suspension, and so other than that, I have a exhaust, and that's it. So exhaust and suspension, that's I run.
Cool. See, there you go, guys. That's what you need to know. You can race if you're talented enough, you can race the pro circuit with A-kit suspension. Is it the A-kit suspension that like anyone can get if they want to pony up the money for it, or is it like something special? I'm just curious about how that all.
Yeah, anybody can get it. It's just everybody thinks you just, let's spend $7,000 on suspension and it's gonna make me that much faster. You gotta set it up the right way and really put some time on it to figure it out.
I was just gonna say, I'll tell you what, you could put either one of us on your bike with A-kit suspension, and it doesn't matter.
I'd probably loop it out. Like when we talked to Steve Matthewson, and I mean, he pushes this hard, and anybody
Yep.
should probably, before you think about anything else, is your suspension. I mean, that's always number one. No matter
that's the
if you're
first
on a
thing.
stock bike, I mean, it has to be set up for you,
Yeah, right.
for
It's
sure.
interesting that you're on what basically amounts to a stock bike pretty much, with a kit suspension, which is not really a stock bike, I guess. But that's the point. The point is that there's not a lot of trickery here. It's basically what you can get off the dealership floor, which is cool. So I was wondering about that. I was actually pretty sure that was the answer, but I was just wondering about that.
My dad did get me an ignition for the 450, and he put it in there, and I pretty much rode 2 laps and told him to take it out.
Okay. Gotcha.
It was way too much.
Right.
So, what's some of your best pro class finishes? Let's talk about some of like the highlights. I know recently you've been doing like really, really well.
Yeah, so for some reason I'm an LCQ champ most of the time, and so last year one of my highlights was Southwick was my best finish last year, and it was a 25th, which I was happy with, but I'm trying to do better this year. And then this year, Southwick again was another highlight so far, and I got 24th. So
That's really good. That's like stupidly good.
And I know that 40 guys line up on the gate. So to be 24th is pretty impressive. But how many guys typically would show up to just, with heats and qualifiers? How many guys typically show up to a pro race just to begin with? That's one thing I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they allow like 90 for the entry, and then they take 36 right out of qualifying, and then everybody else, the next 40 guys go for the LCQ, and they take 4 from the LCQ.
Wow. And if you're doing the LCQ, that's an extra moto, and it's a moto where everyone is like, out there basically hanging all out there, because if they don't get out of there, they're out. So that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting in the hard way every time. It sounds like, but
Exactly,
you're still kicking ass, which is fine. So it's just one of those things. So that's
You're racing the best in the business, and if you can hang with that, even just making a main, that's something incredible. I mean, to know, that in the back of your mind, like, I'm one of the top 40 guys right now in the country.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So when you race here, like locally, when I watch you, it's like you're untouchable here pretty much. That's a definite. I've watched you like play with guys in practice and then just pull away just for the fun of it. Is it a weird feeling when you go out doing like pro races and then have actual competition where you got to push yourself against these guys? Do you enjoy that challenge better than like racing here locally?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure. And locally is fun and stuff. Racing is just the tracks, just nothing can compare to a pro caliber track. Just how we prep it, the jumps, the ruts, and all the bumps and stuff. But other than that, it's definitely challenging riding against them, and you kind of have to accept it when you're racing them, just because they're a lot older than me and they have the best of the best equipment. So
where do you train here, like locally? When I talked to you earlier, I think it was 2 weeks ago, you were in the middle of like training and riding. Like, your idea of like riding is, to me, is like professional training, I would imagine, compared to like what we do on like a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Where do you usually like train at, or is like a facility you go to, or you have someplace locally you do?
Yeah, so in the springtime, in the winter I plow snow, so I can't really train in the winter. So I just do gym in the winter, and then come springtime, I usually head to Club MX for at least a month before all the racing starts up. And then once I get back home, kind of home, I train at the compound during the week, at least a day or two, and then I try to hit some gym during the week, during the season. And then, so riding for me during the week is usually 15 minutes of just riding, and then just 2 hard, long motos.
Do you have any other kind of training that you do, like any kind of like I know like a lot of guys do, like I think there's a Rhino Power program. A lot of guys do bicycling. Do you have anything like that you do as well for training?
Yeah, I try to watch my diet and stuff, and I do take Rhino Power supplements and just hydration stuff during the week, just to keep my body happy, kind of.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're kind of a well-oiled machine at this point, so no donuts during race season, right?
Oh,
no, no Jenny lights. You're probably not even old enough for that.
No.
But anyway, so.
I only know a few people that go race after drinking a whole package of Jenny lights.
I only know one. That's you.
Maybe a couple. There's a couple more.
I don't think that you would be very successful in a pro race if you did that, but I don't know. Maybe.
Right.
So if you were to give advice to, like, say, a young peewee rider or a young racer coming up now who's, like, you know, excelling at the sport, like, what would be, like, the best piece of advice you think you could give him on conditioning his body to be fit for racing?
Yeah, definitely try and travel to the tracks that are technical, and like definitely push you to try harder, and like pretty much longer riding times and just brutal tracks will build you to be a better rider.
Mm-hmm.
And
so put the work in.
Yeah, pretty much put the work in, and just keep grinding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. You want to kind of like, you want to do the things that suck. I'm quoting someone I know here, but you want to do things that suck, and you want to do them a lot so that like you get good at them, and then they don't suck anymore. And then you find something else that's terrible, and you and you do that, and eventually get good at everything.
Right.
At least in theory, anyway, right? So
that rain day where nobody else is loading their bike up, you load your bike up, go ride the mud, right?
Yep.
I love the mud.
So let's go bounce back a little bit to your stuff locally. So, like, when you were growing up, like, who were some of your friends in the pits and favorite folks you would talk to or hang out with, kind of here locally?
Yeah, when I was growing up, Colton Camp definitely was one kid I've always looked up to and still do. He always had that mullet going, and he was a cool guy. Always came to talk to me, my family. And another couple people are the Stones, Scotty and Alex.
Oh yeah.
And Jason Huntington, all those guys.
We know Colton pretty well because he listens to this probably. So we know Colton pretty well. He's on the board of Hogback with us. So yeah. Colton, we talked about you. We mentioned you.
I remember. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before Colton was out racing. You guys kind of played tag a little bit. I can't remember if it was a practice day or an actual race, but at one point I think you had enough of like playing and stuff, and you just hook off. That's when I knew just how insane fast you were, because I remember how fast Colton's always been.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we would always mess around, have fun, and then when we'd race, we were always close in speed, so like it was fun. And whoever won, we'd always break each other's balls at the end, but we were such good friends, it really didn't matter. So.
Yeah, gotcha. So that's cool. So have you guys? Because I know he raced some pro nationals too. Have you guys ever raced a national together?
The last one he did, I'm pretty sure, is Unadilla. I think it was last year, and that was the first one I was at with him. And I don't know. I don't think he ended up making it, but that was the first one we were at together, both trying to race.
That's still really cool though to make a national with a guy you've been racing with since you guys were kids is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. Gotcha.
So what kind of pro riders do you hang out? I mean, who's some of your favorite pro riders to hang with the pits? I mean, do you get to talk to them a lot or meet them, or is pretty much everybody kind of doing their own thing?
Yeah, some of them are pretty outgoing, but some don't really talk to you or look at you. But I have a couple good friends that are doing good. Like my buddy Garrett Marchbanks, he's pretty cool, and he was at club with me, and we hung out quite a bit. And so he's pretty outgoing and talks to people, but then you come across like Chase section, he don't really look at you or talk to anybody. So.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I was kind of wondering about that. I kind of figured that was the case because it is like it is a sport that's very like it's very like it's an individual sport, right? I mean, you obviously have your team support, but like, I'm just kind of I was kind of wondering about that in terms of like, who's friendly and who's not. So, but that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
Right.
your dad had a picture up a few weeks ago, I think it was, of you next to, I think it was Tomac and was it Plessinger or somebody? I can't remember who was next to you, but it just put in perspective to me. It's like, wow, just to be on that level, when you're next to guys like that in the gate is something special to especially to look back on in your career.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. And lining up to him, like when I just started doing the pro stuff, I was like, holy shit, like I'm next to so and so. I tell my Dad, stop taking pictures. You're being a fanboy.
There you go. See,
guys you've looked up to like forever, and now you're like on the gate with them. It's got to be pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
that's for sure. Yeah, because you mentioned that they're a lot older. That's a lot of those guys are older than you. So yeah, I mean, as a kid, you watched some of those guys race, and now they're there. Now they're out there. I mean, geez, like I'm going to use him as an example. I know he's not racing pro anymore, but like a Chad Reed, he was racing when you were like 2 years old. So you might against him, you're like, holy crap, he's not even real.
Yeah.
You might have to like race him a legends versus rookies race or something.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back. I thought he was coming back to do something, but I don't know.
Dungy did.
Yeah. That's another one. I think that that's racing when he was just a kid. So interesting.
Did you look up to any like racers here locally when you were younger that you used to watch here?
Definitely looked up to Craig Mullet when he was racing here, just because he was pretty fast and he had some good style. So I've always looked up to Craig. Same with Colton. Once Colton got on big bikes, I wanted to be the next Colton Camp. I wanted to be fast. So
that's kind of cool. And he's your friend. So how much older than you is he?
everybody thinks they're the same age, but Colton, I'm pretty sure, is 25 and I'm 19. So.
Oh, okay. So he is a good bit older than you. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But everybody thinks they're the same age. I don't know.
Colton and I are actually working. He was working. We were for the same company that I was working for.
Yeah, I think he took a job with
still working, man.
Well, when he's not breaking both ankles.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
I'm sure he probably gets the same reaction I did when I break bones and stuff and was out. And they're like, you got to stop racing the bikes or don't work for us.
It's like, knock it off already. What are you, a child?
Yeah, sadly I had to watch him break his ankles too. So.
Oh, you were there for that? Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It sounded like a pretty nasty get off. It sounded,
It didn't even crash, but he came up a little short.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that?
It was at Craig Mullet's house that we were hitting the freestyle ramp.
Oh, that's right. He was doing
okay.
some FMX stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin tried going for the bigger. They moved it back. Colin tried going a little bigger, and it just didn't quite make it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you're not dabbling in all that during your pro tour here.
No, that was almost winter time when that was going on.
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably the last thing you'd want is to be holed up during the pro motocross season.
Right.
Have you thought about doing any supercross?
Yes. I got all my supercross points 2 years ago, actually, in the winter at Minio's, and then I got 2 at Loretta's. But I just haven't really put the time to look into it as much because I'm working in the winter, and again, it's a lot of money to do those because most of those are far away.
Okay.
So I've definitely thought about doing it. It's just a lot of commitment to do the Supercross series and train, get a bike, suspension, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that you're pretty much committed to doing well. And as a privateer, you're probably not.
Yeah.
Do you have any like race commitments to sponsors and stuff that you have to go do certain races?
Not so much certain races, just certain social media expectations and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Now you mentioned that you did come up through Mike Bonacci, right? Through his program a little bit, the MB60.
Yeah, I rode on his team for a couple of years.
Cool. Who else was riding with you then? I think it was Nick. Was Nikki riding with you?
Yeah, I think it was Nikki, Trenton, Colton, Eddie Johannes, and probably forgetting a couple people, but
Yeah, Mike was definitely a big help in getting racers started in like the industry and really helping them bloom and giving them a lot of opportunity here locally. It was pretty awesome what he did for these kids.
Yep, it was. I thought it was interesting to hear his perspective too. That basically, like, he was just trying to show you guys what a stage that big looked like, and then whatever you guys did with it was really kind of up to you. So, I mean, I think even to have 2 pro riders out of a program like that is impressive, though. You know, just because it's one of those things you're kind of beating the odds, but it's very cool. So, and now, so you mentioned Club MX. Do you see Mike when you go down there now?
Yeah, I see Mike all the time now. I was actually doing his landscape at his house this winter, just for some extra money. But yeah, he's a good guy to know for sure. He knows a lot of people and a good talker. So he introduced me to a lot of new people and set me up with some people that really helped me out. So
sweet,
awesome. So, I mean, you're some of the top of your level right now. Where do you see yourself like next season and in the future after that? Do you see continuing on pro motocross and just seeing where it goes, or trying to maybe get on a spot with a team?
Yeah, if anything comes across that'd be awesome. But next year, this year I'd be hoping to get at least a point. I want to get a point. So that's always been my goal. And then eventually in the future, if I'm still doing the nationals, I would like to get a 2-digit number, but that's in the future for sure, because I still got some work to do.
Yeah.
So how do you get the 2-digit number, just for those of us that don't know?
To get the 2-digit number, you need to get, so once you get top 20, you get a point per position. So they add up points at the end of the year, and you can get them through Supercross. And then I don't know exactly how they list the numbers, but the least amount of points, you'll get number 99, and then so on from there.
So some of the tracks you've been to, like, what are some of your favorite like pro tracks you've been to, and like some of the places you've gone?
Yeah, my favorite track this year so far has been Colorado. I've never been there before, and it was pretty cool. And the track was good. That was my favorite so far. Another one, I like Southwick. I don't know why, but I love Southwick.
Do you like it rutted out and nasty?
Unadilla. Yeah, it's nasty there. And then Unadilla is always a favorite, just because it's the hometown and all the fans and everything coming up to me.
Yeah, basically nothing happens in Western New York the weekend of Unadilla, and nobody's racing, so everyone's either riding or they're at Unadilla watching you guys, which is excellent.
Yeah, for sure.
So that means probably your family's there and your friends are there, and guys you race with are there. So that's very, very cool. So
right.
So outside of racing, we're just curious, do you have any, I mean, I know during the summer I probably know the answer to this, but like, what are some of your hobbies outside of racing?
For a long time in the winter, and then I played lacrosse also in high school. And
cool.
I usually work Monday through Friday unless I'm leaving to fly or drive somewhere. So I'm working every day I can. And then I like to go bowling a lot. I don't know why. I like to go bowling.
Cool.
But, no, I just started going bowling for some reason, like this past month. And I don't know. I like to sleep a lot because I'm always working. And then if I'm not working, I'm riding. And if I'm not riding, I'm sleeping.
You're a busy guy.
And I would tell you, Trevor, that if we've talked to a lot of people, no motocross has ever mentioned bowling as a hobby. It's pretty awesome, actually.
That's why I started like putting this question in here to ask racers, because they're into some interesting stuff that you wouldn't expect, like some racers or like just younger people to be into. Like Nikki, when we interviewed her, she's an amateur woodworker. Like,
I forgot about that.
I totally didn't expect that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Right.
for sure.
So it gives people like an idea of like just neat stuff that people are into. It gives you a little bit of behind the scenes.
It shows you that they're not just motocrossers. How about
Yeah,
that?
they don't just race
It's
motocross.
not the only thing that happens. so this is just kind of random, Trevor, but I wrote this down and I wanted to make sure I got it in. So I was looking through Loretta's pro results because I knew you had made it a couple times to Loretta's. You made it a bunch, and I think I even found results. Basically, the Loretta Linz Vault has amateur results for everybody who's ever qualified for Loretta's, like ever, going back years and years and years and years, right? I know I found yours, and I think I found some of your dad's from a while ago. I think I only know because it was the same name and it was the same last name as Rochester, New York. Did your sister qualify for Loretta's? I think it said like 2015 or something. Okay, she did. Cool.
Yeah, she did qualify. I think it was the.
I think you might have to say that again. I think it cut out. It's on my end.
I said, yeah, she did qualify for Loretta's in 2014 in the girls' class. I'm pretty sure.
Oh wow, cool. I mean, you're already going there anyway, right? So
yeah. So we both raced that year.
So one question is, does she still ride?
No, she quit a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I won't ask if she's faster than you, but obviously the answer is no.
I think she beat me one time when I was on a 65, and I'm still not living it down. So
We all have our demons, right?
Oh yeah.
You ever pretend she's chasing you out there on the track when you're like racing?
What was that?
You ever pretend like when you're out like at a pro level race or something to push you that she's right behind you?
No,
but I should start doing that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that popped up, but I was like, Google was like, wait a second, we have to ask him about this for sure. So,
yeah.
So you definitely come from a long family of talented racers, so it's definitely in the blood.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right.
Like so many other families locally here.
Well, yeah, what happens is you end up going and like, the dad races or whatever, and the kids go, well, not everybody, obviously. The kids go and they're like, hey, I want to do that. And they're like, okay. And then the other kids, the younger kids, like, hey, I want to do that. And son, before you know it, you're like, so many people, you have like 3 or 4 kids all racing at once.
Right.
And a racing weekend costs you $800. But still, that's just the way, just locally. But it makes sense that, everyone's around it, and that's just kind of how it works. And it is obviously very family oriented sport too. So, that's kind of a big thing.
Sure.
I had somebody tell me that when last year, somebody that had never been to one before, and they noticed that. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right about that. I had never noticed it just being around it so long. You don't see it anymore, but anyways. So,
do you have a favorite bike like that you've had over the years?
Yeah, I have it right now. I have a 2022 and a half factory edition 250 that my buddy Reed just helped me. He got me an ignition for it, and we got a slip-on FMF, and the thing is insane. I love it.
Nice. Those engines have some. Yeah, those engines have some good power. We know that because we have 250s, the corked up ones, the street legal ones. But I know that you can make some serious power with those motors. So, and the motocross ones are unrestricted. And actually, mine's an older one. It's probably got even more. The newer ones probably have more power than that. So
I rode Bruce Corwin's 2019 450 and KTM, and I'll tell you what, that thing about ripped my damn arms off.
Yep.
Somebody's Honda 450, I think it was Patterson's. It was the only one that's more powerful than that.
Yeah.
That I've ridden as a 450.
Yeah, that's for sure. So
450s are gnarly.
Yeah, they're nasty. So one other thing we're wondering about is we know that you that obviously you've been racing a long time, and this kind of comes up for everybody. We recently just saw it come up for somebody we know. Have you had any injuries in your long racing career?
Yeah, I've had a couple injuries, nothing too serious, knock on wood. I broke my wrist and my thumb and just some concussions. So.
Oh, wow. It's actually pretty good. So the next question I want to ask then is, you're riding at this level. How do you stay so injury free? Do you think it's just luck, or do you think there's something you're doing that keeps you that way?
Just how I was taught to ride, just good technique, and I've done a lot of practice over the years just to make myself prepared for everything. So
Makes sense.
just
Yeah.
how I was brought up and taught how to ride.
I know I asked somebody that once and he told me that. He's like, yeah, it was Joe Celso. And he's like, yeah, I was like, Joe, how do you stay injury free? He's like, I just keep it at like 80%. I'm like, oh. Meanwhile, his 80% is 150% of everyone else's abilities. But so, and I'm guessing you're not doing that if you're riding pro. You just have the technique down. And I mean, it's probably muscle memory too, because you started riding when you were 4. So very cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we're almost out of time here. Probably what we usually do is we kind of ask somebody like a closing question before we give them some plugs and stuff. I think tonight we got, what's your scariest race moment? Like when you've been out racing, like something that really just scared the living shit out of you.
This past weekend I scared the shit out of myself, but a good one. I wasn't racing, I was riding, and it was the first lap, and I knew the track, and I was going through these rollers pretty fast, I'd say, and a deer ran out, and I was like, oh shit, and I just missed the deer, so it was scary, but it didn't end up too bad.
Oh wow,
man.
That's
I hit a turkey once in the 90s.
Really?
Yes. That scared me pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't think I know that story.
One of many. But well, we usually at the end here we like to let people give some plugs and some shout outs. I figured you definitely have a long list of sponsors you probably would like to give a little plug to.
Yeah, there's so many people that have helped me out over the years and currently, but most importantly,
This would be like a podium speech.
yeah, I'm not ready for a podium speech right now, but I'll try.
You might surprise yourself one day. You're going to be up there and you're going to be like, oh man, now what do I got? This is your practice.
Yeah. Couple local sponsors like some asphalt companies, Central Roadways, Reed, my buddy, he owns RTS, Race Prep. The compound helps me, Hebblers, Moto Option, my buddy Nate Crowfoot. So many people that have done so much for me. The list will go on forever. But over the years, I've gotten a lot of help.
But there was, I think it was Hogback last summer. It must have been August, and there was a 125 race, and Adam was in the flagging stand. You were like kicking everyone's ass in the 125 race, and you just came flying by on one of the jumps at Palmyra, like maybe like 2 feet from where I was standing in the flagging stand, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Walker's ass.
Yeah, it was Walker's ass. Yeah, it was there. Yep, that's exactly where it was. Yep, yeah. Yeah.
You gave me a couple of looks backs before I was cheering you on, which you had no competition up there anyway. You were just out for another Sunday ride.
So 125s, it's just goofing around. So
cool. Well, definitely thanks for giving us some time tonight, man.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Hey, so we just got done talking to Trevor Schmidt. That was pretty cool. He's got quite the history for only 19 years old. Holy cow.
Yeah, like I don't think I can name a faster motocrosser here locally. Definitely not locally. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
sure.
Definitely got some serious talent. I mean, he's
the man.
He's at the top of his game right now.
I mean, even just to qualify for a national is nuts. And
not only qualify, but make 24th out of 40-man gate.
Yeah, and he keeps banging through the LCQ. If he didn't have to do that, he'd probably have another day, another little bit more energy for himself. So, but I mean, it's brutal. It's tough. But I think the neatest part is he's doing it on what's basically a stock bike. Like,
yeah, that's incredible.
That just goes to show the value of, I mean, it's not totally stock, I guess, $7,000.
Yeah, but you're up against guys that have got like $100,000 bikes on teams, and you're still able to hang with them. I mean, that's amazing.
It's true. Yeah, it's pretty good. It just shows it really is the bike, not the rider. Pretty sure you put me or you on a bike with A-kit suspension, it doesn't freaking matter.
Very cool of him to give us some of his time. I know he's a busy guy, especially right now.
Crazy busy. Yeah. So that's for sure. He sounds like because he's still working and he's riding. So
yeah.
Privateers are not making all their money racing, at least not yet. Someday soon, hopefully. So what's coming up? We've got. So just kind of go through them in order. Noah Hare Scrambles, if you're into that stuff. Baldwin Trail Riders, 821. That is at, I have right in front of me. I can't even read it. 35 Lathrop Road, Loma, New York. It's northeast of Elmira. So it's down southern tier of New York State. Yeah, I mean, they're all down there.
Always a haul.
That's why they dropped the W from Winoa, because it wasn't in Western New York.
They do put on a good scramble, though.
They do.
I've ridden some.
I haven't ridden one in here, but it's pretty good. And then Full Action Cycles. I think his name is Ken, the guy who runs that company.
Yes, it is.
He's got,
yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember he saved your ass in the 24-hour.
Yes, he did.
He's got
there.
They're running the Big Buck Club. It was September 18th. They're at Big Buck Club. 291 Snow Road, Harpersville, New York, which is northeast of Binghamton. So again,
I think it's Ken Rose. Isn't it Ken Rose? I think it was
Ken Rose. Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember the last name. Yeah, that's them.
Yep.
So Full Action Cycles, they got their event going on. That should be fun. This is a hair scramble. So if you're into hair scramble stuff, that's a good place to go. Empire State has an open date on the 14th for the Unadilla Pro National, which is coming up. That this episode will be out right around that time. And yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously the thing to do. So if you're not, I mean, there's no racing that weekend. So if you love taking your camper all around, just get to the Unadilla.
And you can go see Trevor kick some ass.
You can see Trevor and Blaze Cromaldi is also racing that series out of Western New York too. So
I bet Joey Spadaro will be back. I mean, I think he'll race in July, right?
I'm not sure.
He's at Loretta's right now. Everybody's at Loretta's,
but I think he has to qualify to get X number of pro points, and I'm not sure if he's old enough to get. I don't know, but anyway, so you see some names, you might see some more. By the time this episode comes out, Loretta's will be over, but
all of our fastest local racers that can race Unadilla will be there.
Yep. Yeah. So, and then coming out of the Unadilla Pro National, you heard Trevor say that Budds Creek National is that weekend, but locally, Empire State has the Hogback King of the Hill, the 10th annual Hogback King of the Hill.
What?
Yeah, 821. That's August 21st, and that's a big one. I mean, that's the big event locally. So get over there.
60th anniversary.
60th anniversary of the club. The club is 60 years old, which sounds crazy. When I started, it was just turning 50 years old.
I think it's the oldest one in New York State, isn't it?
I think Walden MX might be older, but it's up there for sure.
It's definitely the oldest in the state, I thought. If
not,
I
have to look and see. I don't know, but
the oldest around.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think Walden MX is around a similar age, but I don't know that for sure. But this event is going to be big. Like, there's so much stuff going on.
It's like a carnival.
More details are being worked out, as you know. So I'll say what I know right now, which is that they keep adding stuff. So it all starts Friday night. There's going to be a food truck rodeo. There's going to be food trucks up at the track.
What?
Yeah, I think the way it works is you pay the gate fee and you get in for the food trucks. They're still working out the logistics of all that. I don't know. If you want to go to the food trucks, show up. There's a rumor that the Fairville Fire Department might be doing a fish fry there. Again, this is only a rumor. That's apparently a big deal. People love the Fairville fish fry. So that people might come out just for that. That's Friday night, practice Saturday. And then they're going to have raffle baskets. Each board member has been asked to get a raffle basket.
Is that for Sunday or Saturday?
I'm not sure. I think it's for Sunday, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, practice Saturday, raffle baskets probably Sunday. Pit decoration contest, that's going to be on Saturday night.
Night and day, right?
Yeah, day and night.
Nighttime.
Yep.
What do you win for that?
I'm not sure.
More than bragging rights, I'd bet.
Yeah, I think there are prizes. I just don't know what they are if it's been fully worked out. This is going to come out right around the time of Unadilla, but we're recording this before. So the details on that, some of that stuff, we might be a little light. If anything changes, we'll post updates to it. But yeah, that's what's going on there. And then a vintage race on Sunday too. So, you get out your vintage bikes. Like I mentioned before, I'm sure Ben Atkinson probably has something planned already. Yeah. Others probably do too. So get out and do the vintage race. Adam will be out there.
I am going to be riding the vintage race on my 83 KTM. Yep. I fired it up the other day for the first time in 2 years, and she fired right up. So
it's good to go.
See if the clutch still wants to work and launch out of the gate. But I don't even care if I come in dead last. I'm just going to get her on the track for like 3 laps.
Yeah, I don't think you're so
it'll be probably the only all original vintage bike on that gate.
That's true. Yeah, that's true for sure.
All
So
original. Seat
and I don't-
cover, plastics, everything. Frame.
Yep. Yep. And I don't know what qualifies as vintage. I'm not sure. I think it's like 99 and older, but
I think it was 99, I think last year. It's not
Okay.
up to 2000 now, is it?
I don't know.
Can't be.
That's yeah. It would typically be like 25 years. So
Yeah.
99 would be 23 years. So I don't know.
I guess Cheryl will make that determination.
Yeah, I think Cheryl on the board, they may have already. I just haven't seen the email yet. The other thing about the Hogback event is that we need flaggers. I know I mentioned this in the last news break we did.
Please.
Please, we have 15 flagging spots. It was like 19 with relief flaggers. Last time we had 15 people signed up, and on the Sunday, 7 people did not show. So
This place is a ghost town. We needed people. It's $90, folks.
$90 for the day.
$90.
$90 per day. You get to watch racing
And lunch.
and you get lunch. So come do it. It's cool. And if you want to get in for 2023, showing up and flagging is a good way to let people know that you want to work. Volunteering your time is an even better way. Yeah, that's how. Yeah, and volunteering your time is an even better way. But truthfully, you could take the $90 and just knowing that you would show up to flag.
You get to watch the races and make money.
And you get to watch
how
the
great
races
is
and make
that?
money. Yeah, I'll actually be there
Up close.
I'll be there on Saturday flagging. Adam's working the gate, so yeah, just get over there and do it if you want to get in.
Just got to be 18 years old.
Yep, that's all the only requirement.
We'll teach you how to flag.
Yeah, it's not hard. New pit, and there's again, I mentioned in the last podcast and news update too, but there's new pit bike rules for Hogback. New pit vehicles. Basically, what it comes down to is don't do stupid shit with pit vehicles. That's essentially the summary. But no speeding, only ride in first gear. They're going to give you a form. They're going to tell you what the rules are. If you don't follow the rules, you get one warning. And that's it. So just don't do dumb stuff with pit bikes. It's not hard. Ride the roads only. And go slow, basically. Okay, and wear a helmet. It's not rocket science.
At least put the helmet on, guys. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're gonna do shenanigans, at least wear the helmet.
Yeah, and do the shenanigans on the pit bike track in the pit bike race or something. Pavilion is the 28th of August. And then of course Can-Am is Labor Day weekend.
That's another big race.
That's huge. I mean, Canadians are that quarter, so it will be a true Can-Am for the first time in 3 years, and it's probably going to be huge. I know that they
I guarantee it. Yeah.
That's like the biggest event in all of Western New York. So, and it's pretty crazy. So it should be good. And then Whitetail is on the 11th of September. I believe that is their last race of 2022. Their last one, which I think was June, was rescheduled. I'm not privy to the reason why, but yeah, they got another race coming up.
People like that track.
Yeah, it sounds like it's good. So
it was a good favorite. I mean, it's a long ways away.
Yep.
If you're in the southern tier, it's not so far, but
Yep. Or if you're in northern Pennsylvania, like our friends at Hicks Racing, then you just it's not far. But and then WYMA, they have Whitetail on the 28th of August. So it looks like Whitetail's running a race on the 28th of August. Taking Labor Day
both
off.
districts. I didn't know that.
Yep. They're both districts, I believe. Yep. So they're doing that. They got the 28th. They got a race on the 28th. They got Labor Day off. They got another race on the 11th. And so they're basically doing. It actually looks like WYMA is off for Labor Day weekend. So yeah, go to Area 51.
Go to Steve Mosier at Area 51 for his Can-Am. It's a good time. It's a huge race.
And he's got spots with hookups now. He's gonna make
big prizes too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Good payouts.
Yeah, I'm sure he does because he's got. So, and then WYMA is at Frozen Ocean on September 11th. Other stuff going on. The Sevens Mountain Dual Sport is at somewhere in the Bald Eagle State Forest area. Not exactly sure where, but you can find it. Seven Mountains Dual Sport PA Trail Riders. I believe that's sold out, but again, you could probably get in. There's a way.
You've ridden there before. It's nice, right?
It's a nice area to ride. Yeah. I rode Bald Eagle State Forest. I didn't ride the Dual Sport. I rode Bald Eagle State Forest.
Same trails, right?
Similar trails. Yeah, I think it uses some of it. It's basically a curated experience. Whereas if you go to ride Bald Eagle State Forest any time of the year, which you can do any time of the year too, by the way, you're kind of on your own. You basically just use a map, or you go with somebody who knows their way around.
It's like Majestic.
Yeah, it's but there's single track. Nice. So there's single track, there's roads, a little bit of everything. There are an insane amount of dual sport bikes down there too, because it's like dual sport bike heaven. We talked about it in the last episode, but the way PA works is that they have certain areas designated for certain use. Bald Eagle's designated for dual sport motorcycles. There's a lot of them down there. Yeah. And then Monkey Butt.
Dual sports.
Yeah, speaking of dual sports, exactly. The Monkey Butt, which is kind of like Rochester's hometown dual sports, if you want to call it that. That is September 17 and 18. Wayne County Motorcycle Club, the old Nork Enduro, if you've been around for long enough to remember that. It turned into the Monkey Butt in 2011 and has now become a very successful dual sport of its own. That is, like I said, September 17, 18, 2-day event, 300 rider limit. They just opened up signups on August 1st. As of the time we're recording this, there are still spots available, which is good.
Lots of spots.
Yep, which is good because I don't have one yet.
Might go fast.
Yeah, they might go fast. It's popular. It's 2-day event. What I've heard, there are no repeats of trails except for
new trails this year.
Yes, there are new trails. Yep,
new trails.
And the only section that's repeated is the section called what I called the Field of Hills, which if you've done it before, it's just this big
super
open.
Awesome.
It's a freaking great section. I would pay $100 just to ride that section over and over again all day. And that landowner, and I don't know who it is, unfortunately, actually requested that section be put in both days. So he didn't have much of a fight on his hands there, probably.
I think because they watch it. A lot of people they own this land and stuff. You'll see them out there watching on these rides. Be sure to wave to them, beep the horn, say hello to the kids.
Yep.
They've always got something for sale. Brownies, lemonade, whatever. Bring a couple bucks. Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna go. It's gonna go through people. It goes through Hogback a little bit. It's gonna go through the Kukuzi's property. It's gonna do a bunch of people we know and that we've talked to are gonna be involved in this event.
Everybody locally out that way they participate with whatever they got.
That's a big deal. And it's the same launch spot as last year, just north of the Fairville Fire Hall on Route 8 on 88 in Newark. There'll be signs up, obviously, but the address is on their forms.
Charlie Hill's a super cool guy for letting us do this the last few years at his property.
Awesome. He really
Fairville kind of gave us the heave ho last minute, and he stepped right in and just said, "Come right out and park in my field," and it's been there ever since.
And the other thing that's cool is that he said you can come on Friday, and you can stay till Monday if you want. So because I think he basically is opening up his field for the whole weekend.
Super great guy.
Yep, there's gonna be a bike wash. There's gonna be a bunch of stuff. So it's cool that he's doing that.
Firewood for sale. They're gonna have the usual garbage plate, and I think chicken dinner on Saturday.
Chicken dinner on Saturday, garbage plate on Sunday. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you live in Rochester, this is I live on the east side, and this is like a 30-minute drive for me. It takes about an hour for Adam. So just come out and ride it. It's not far. It's
say hello to us. We'll be there.
Yeah,
we'll be there. Meet some super famous local radio show hosts.
Exactly. We'll probably be riding with Warren from Elcar's ATV on YouTube too. So you want to ride with a couple of guys in their 40s that make digital media, and
I'm not going to get hurt this year.
Please don't ever get hurt. I'll get hurt again. But they're going to have Hero Hold'em. There's going to be a bunch of stuff going on. So Monkey Butt's always a cool event. If you want to know more about it, punch it into YouTube and look up what it is, and then go sign up for it. So if I'm riding slow, it's not because I'm hurt. It's because I'm old and fat. That's fine too. That'll work also. We can't all be Trevor. That's for sure.
Yep. We can pretend we're Trevor.
Yeah, we can. That's true.
I'm just gonna get a Trevor action figure instead. It's a lot easier.
Too. Maybe there'll be one in a couple of years.
I think that's all we got.
Yeah, I think that's everything. I'm looking at my end of show notes, and I think that's it. So
cool. So what we say.
We will see you
at the races.